Buffalo Bore 10 millimeter versus 44 Magnum. And today what I have are XTP bullets, both in 180 grains. So this should be a really fair test in a lot of sense. Now definitely a smaller diameter with the same weight bullet does give that 10 millimeter a little bit more sectional density, but a lot of people love to see these tests because they're really easy to follow. Same weight bullet. So it's easy to tell which one's more powerful based on velocity alone. So the XTP bullet is a really good bullet overall. It's a very sturdy bullet, so this should be an interesting test. Rated velocity on that 10 millimeter is 1350 feet per second. Rated velocity on that 44 mag is about 1500 feet per second. However, that's in a longer barrel. So realistically, we should see almost the same velocity on almost the same setup here. So that should be really interesting. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. And then as always, we're going to go through the Juggernaut box, which contains a 1 3/4 inch pack of bologna covered by 4 layers of denim, followed by 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard that kind of simulates like ribs or sternum, into water jugs to catch these bullets. And normally how this compares to ballistics gel is most bullets stop in about the back of jug 3, indicating about 15 inches comparison to ballistics gel. Back of jug 4 indicates about 18 inches. So this should be a really interesting test. Then after our standard test, what I want to do is I want to do kind of a wood penetration test, but not quite. I've always wondered, you know, if we hit over penetration through something, what happens on the other side? So I'm just going to put this board up and I'm going to see how much damage it does to water jugs on the back side of this. When I did my previous testing with wood penetration, I did test that 44 mag, and what we got is in the back of board 3 we had the 44 stop. So I wanted to make sure I get through this, but not too quickly. So what I have is 2 boards, and then sandwiched in between that is a piece of that 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. I think at least the 44 mag is just barely going to get through this. The 10 millimeter should do the same. And that should be interesting to see what happens after over penetration. So let's get started with this test. All right, first up I have the 10 millimeter. We're about 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. First round did not feed very well. And by the way, this is a conversion setup. This barrel is a little bit questionable. So if we have reliability issues, it's not the ammo. It's this particular setup. So 10 millimeter. Let's see what we get for accuracy and velocity. .1437. 1439. 1442. Got a stovepipe. Probably my fault. A little stout of a round. 1434. Didn't feed. 1419. So it's causing my pistol a little bit of issue, but that should not be a concern to you for your pistol if it's in good operating condition. But that's a lot of velocity for a 180 grain 10 millimeter. I don't think that the 44 mag is going to match that. So let's see how that 44 mag does. And I haven't chronographed this myself, but Buffalo Bore lists a 4-inch test barrel at 1387 feet per second. That's why I'm saying I don't think it's going to match that. However, I got higher than Buffalo Bore's rating with the 10 millimeter, so it's possible. Let's see if we can match these velocity numbers. 1246, 1270, 1274. I'll read. 1316. Let's run another round here. 14 1254. So it's a very low powered 44 Magnum, and that's what it's marketed as. It's the anti-personnel round. So it's basically meant to be a carry round rather than, let's say, a woods round, as where that 10 millimeter is marketed just as a full powered 10 millimeter. So as we can see here, that 10 millimeter had a lot of power. I'm really impressed with that, but will that be a good or a bad thing for personal defense? Let's find out. Let's hit the ballistic box and see how these two compare to each other. First up, we have that 10 millimeter. Not sure what to expect here, so let's see what we get. And as you can see here, I don't know why it does this, honestly. I've had so many problems with this pistol even before the conversion with it dropping the mag, so that's what it does for me. But wow, a lot of damage to this first water jug. All right, this is a first. Hardly any baloney pack left. This is the first round to hit this fiberboard center and blow it to pieces, split it in half. I've never seen that, so that says something about this round. With all this vaporized baloney, this is massive. All right, that's more like dynamite than a bullet. Jug 2 has pieces of baloney pack, pieces of fiberboard, pieces of lead. I'm really surprised at this. There's no dent out the back of 3. Most of the bullet is in 3. Estimated guess, that's probably about 14 inches comparison to ballistics gel. I expected it to over penetrate. So what I have here is jacket separation with the jacket completely rolled behind itself. Not sure how that would happen other than if it shed the jacket and then turned around and then pushed back. Definitely not 180 grains here, probably 130. It just mangled that. That is just devastation. Too much power for even an XTP, that's impressive. Let's see how that 44 compares. Next up, we have the 44 mag. Let's see if this does any different. Surprisingly, a lot of damage for having a little less energy. All right, with this, we have a little bit more baloney intact, but I mean, it's just a massive hole through the thing. I don't see the fiberboard, so we'll look for that. All right. Almost as much damage to the first jug, not quite as the 10 millimeter, but still way more than most. And our hole through the fiberboard is very impressive. It's about a 3/4 inch or more diameter hole. So it's definitely expanding before it hits this. So let's see what else we got. Jug 2 looks very similar to the 10 millimeter. There's a dent in jug 4, so this penetrated a little bit more. We're going to compare this to about 15 inches comparison to ballistics gel. That's about what I expected. So this is about the right sectional density and the right amount of energy for a bullet like this. It held together, mushroomed out perfectly. I'd say that's a pretty good load. Now let's move on to that wood penetration test and see how much quote-unquote over penetration we get. All right, first up I have the 44 mag. I think this will penetrate less than the 10 millimeter, obviously. So let's see how this does through all that wood and into water jugs if it goes through. Definitely went through that. It went right through the fiberboard that was right here. All right, our first jug took on a lot of damage. That's surprising for what this is. Jug 2, we went right through 2. Right through 3. Right through 4. Her bullet is in 5, so this is about, comparison to ballistics gel, each jug is about 3 inches. So this is about 15 inches comparison to ballistics gel after going through all that wood. What that wood did was it prevented that bullet from expanding, turned it basically into a full metal jacket, and it penetrated a lot. So definitely lethal on the other side of that wood. And that wood is probably the outside thickness, if you look at an average house, of the wall. So still potential to really penetrate through something. Let's try that 10 millimeter. Next up, we have the 10 millimeter. We'll see what this does through the wood. All right, right through the wood, but the exit hole with the 10 millimeter is actually significantly larger. That's really interesting. All right, our first jug has just a ton of damage. It looks like more than what the 44 had. Also in jug 2, this is just massive amount of damage to a water jug after going through all that wood. We went straight through 3, cracked the 3rd one. Looks like we went through 4, there's an impact on 5. That's where the 44 stopped. That went through all 5. So I'm going to see if that bullet is in that backstop. Found that bullet had just enough energy to bounce off the backstop, not cause any damage to it. So it may have entered jug 6 if there was a jug 6 there, but definitely a little bit more power. Interesting about this is it has one pedal pulled back, so it's a little bit different than the 44, so very interesting to say the least overall. Now my summary of this ammunition, and some of you guys are going to think this is completely pistol related with the malfunctions, but even if my pistol was 100% functioning, I would not want to carry that 10 millimeter round. It didn't feel like a normal 10 millimeter. It felt like more recoil than a 44 mag, but in a polymer pistol. So when you think about that as a defensive round, I can't imagine it being that good of a round in a polymer pistol. Now, if you had a heavier pistol, or if you had a 10 millimeter revolver, I would say that's probably a really, really great 10 millimeter round. You could probably do some really good hunting with that 10 millimeter round out of a revolver with like a 6-inch barrel. It'd do excellent, but not so good in that Glock pistol. Now, overall, that 44 mag round impresses me a lot. It's kind of like the way that I see American Gunner 357 mag in a snub nose, or a short barrel gold dot 135 grain 357 and a short barrel. It's less powerful than most 357 Magnum rounds, but it's perfect. Same for this 44 load. Seems like a perfect round for that 4-inch barrel. I'd probably say it'd even probably do well in a shorter barrel. Really excellent round overall. The recoil is very manageable, but we're definitely getting into 44 Magnum territory with the energy. So overall, really good round for a revolver. So take it for what it is here. I'm just really impressed with that 44. Did excellent. 10 millimeter, a little too powerful for me. That's just my opinion. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.